How's it going, everybody? Goat back at you here with another video. I wanted to put up, now that I got things sorted out a little bit, I wanted to put up some of the vintage Lions things that I got from the National. And one thing at the National, I don't do a lot of live streams and stuff like that from there. I just try to soak in and be where my feet are, or my buddies and the crew and everything. So apologize for not posting a lot of videos while there. But I was just kind of, taking it all in and enjoying the moment every year. And this year was definitely no different. It was a lot of fun hanging out with everybody. But I did get some vintage things. I had, I think I have my vintage checklist. Pretty much everywhere I go. So, when I go to shows and things. So I wanted to make sure to try to fill in some of those things if I could that maybe I couldn't fill in on an everyday basis besides having to look at eBay constantly. So with that being said, here's a couple of kind of scarce cards. Not going to be like super value or anything with some of these first ones that I'm showing, but definitely wanted to fill them in for my vintage Lions collection. This first one is Hall of Famer. Charlie Sanders is from 1978 Slim Jims. So that's kind of cool. It has the perforated mark still there. So that's pretty neat. Charlie Sanders, of course, Hall of Famer for the Lions, 70s there. So I liked that because, it still was, like I said, it was still perforated there. Had the edges. So it came in Slim Jim products. And I obviously Slim Jim has been around for a long time, but I'm thinking maybe in like the little chew cans or something at the bottom where it was like the fake chewing tobacco. Not really sure. 1974 Steve Owens. The difference with this though is this is from Wonder Bread. So Steve Owens was a really good back for the Lions in the 70s, 1,000-yard running back. So I didn't have the Wonder Bread card of that. And then another Steve Owens, which was kind of a cool-looking card, is from Nabisco Sugar Daddies. So you see, I think this is 1974 also in the Nabisco company here. They packaged that in the Sugar Daddies candy. Not really sure how they did that, but but that's where that came from. Another kind of a weird one to come in. This is 1970 Chiquita Bananas. And this is almost like a little plastic card kind of thing. Almost like a credit card or something, a little bit thinner than that though, but it's plastic. Really good coloring on that 1970 card. So really pretty cool to get that one since I didn't have it. And then 1962, I love the postcards that came on the cereal boxes and the Salada coins. And so I have some that I didn't have picked up, 1962 posts, Gail Cogdill. And I never care, right, if it has the little marks on them, just as long as the picture is great and it's not super, super miscut or anything like that. I like it. And then in the future, I might go back and try to get a better copy of it. But as for right now, I don't really care if it's marked on it like that. Hopalong Cassidy, so Howard Cassidy on the post. Again, you can see a little warpage there in the corners. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. Hall of Fame, Dick Night Train Lane. Again, probably came from the same collection. So, I think I'm down. I think I wrote it here somewhere. Let's see. Yeah, on the postcards, I have 12 out of the 15 of the 1962 postcards now from the Detroit Lions. That's pretty sweet. The Salada coins are also 1962. I got some of them that I didn't have, and I think I'm down to only 3 or 4 that I'm missing of the 62 coins. So you have Jim Gibbons, and then Gail Cogdill, Harley Sewell, which, you know, a lot of these guys are going to be like, oh, well, that's, you know, Hall of Famer or champion or something like that because the Lions won, you know, 3 championships in the 50s. This is from 1962. Like with Harley Sewell, he was a college football Hall of Famer, you know, multiple-time Pro Bowler. Then we have Darris McCord. I don't actually know a lot about Darris McCord. I know I have some of his cards. And then John Gortney. All right. So that was the 62, so a lot of coins. And then 1961 Fleer, you know, they had these wallet kind of like pictures. And you see the back is going to be, you know, where you would cut out and stuff like that. Nick Pietrasante, you know, but it was really good picture. Wasn't super, you know, messed up on the cutting or anything like that. So I picked that one up, especially since I didn't have it. And then the other one of the 1961s that I didn't have, I picked up was Night Train. So it was cool to get Dick Night Train Lane, again, Hall of Famer there for the Lions. So picked those. And then a couple of cards that I already had before, but I can't pass them up at like $1 or less. And some of these I think were like 50 cents and a quarter even. And some of those cheap boxes that you can find were team cards. And I love the coloring on those pictures. You know, the checklist. Lions team checklists, some of them are very short print. So not that this one is, but some of them definitely are. And then Hall of Famer Joe Schmidt, I think that was $1. I was like, you kidding me? I probably have like 5 of those cards, but Hall of Fame linebacker for the Lions, I'll take $1. That's fine, no problem. And then the others are from the 50s and 40s. So we'll start with 1953s. And now that I bought these 53s, my Detroit Lions for 1953 is all completed now. So it's all done with the 1953 Bowmans, which I'm pretty stoked about. You know, we have a couple of players in here. 1953, some of these were short print cards for the Lions because they were in 53, they won back-to-back championships. So some of these were cards that ended up being short printed. There's Robert Smith. And again, like I said, Harley Sewell, he was a college football Hall of Famer. You know, a lot of these guys, I'm going to say like 2-time champions, 3-time champions. But most of these Lions at this time were 2-time champions. They won another one in 57, but, you know, they won the early ones in the 50s over the Browns. I think all 3 were actually over the Browns in the 50s, but they went to the championship 4 times in the 50s and won 3 of them. So Harley Sewell, multiple-time Pro Bowler. Pat Harder, who kind of gets forgotten about, but he was part of the 1940s all-time team. I don't even think with the Lions at this point. Let's see. After starting 5 seasons with the Chicago Cardinals. Yeah, so he was a member of the 1940s NFL team and with a different team there. Actually, after his career, he ended up being an official, and kind of a cool tidbit here is he was one of the officials, one of the refs for the Immaculate Reception game with Franco. So that's kind of a cool little tidbit of information, useless information probably for most of you, but that's all right. It's still pretty cool to me. Thurman McGraw was a Rookie of the Year for the Lions, 1950 or 51. Another College Football Hall of Famer. Cloyce Box, multiple-time Pro Bowler, and multiple-time champion, like we could say with all these guys. Lou Creekmore is one of the best Lions ever. Offensive lineman, NFL Hall of Famer. You know, I think he played, what they say, like 160-something games in a row, including preseason and playoffs and stuff. So I think he went to 8 straight Pro Bowls, 8 or 9. That's pretty cool. Lou Creekmore. like I said, the 1953 set with these guys are completed now. And I put these here just so I can remember, because this is what they actually came in, and I put them in the different top loaders. You know, I didn't pay sticker price for any of these things, just like you never should at the National. For example, you're going to see a lot of, if I show these, you're going to see a lot of these kind of stickers, which is where I get a lot of my vintage stuff from at the National shows. And then they put in their price based on how they think the grading and condition is. But like I said, you know, this Creekmore, it's off-centered, of course, but I don't care. It's a beautiful copy of it for me. And they usually bundle it up, and then they give me a lot less price than what it actually is. So I'm thankful for them doing that for me. And that would be Stan's Vintage Sports Cards, actually. So thank you, Stan. There's their information on the back. So I always get a lot of stuff from Stan when I can. 1952. So 1952, they have large and small. I got a couple of larges. Keith Flowers, which I don't think he played very much for the Lions, but you see on the back, it was a center. So I don't think he played very much for the Lions, but it is part of the Lions history. So I got that. This is weird. So Coach Buddy Parker, awesome card of Coach. I didn't have this card. It's a short print card, or it's a higher value card for me to spend for a non-player. But he was a player. He won the championship for the Lions in 1935. Ended up going and being a coach. Where he won the back-to-back championships in the 50s. And with Coach Buddy Parker, over 100 wins. They said he's actually one of five coaches, I think it is, that has multiple championships that's not in the Hall of Fame. So that's kind of a weird one there to me. Jim Martin, so College Football Hall of Famer. 7 championships between NFL and college. I think he won 3 championships at Notre Dame. Yeah, Notre Dame. Yep, was on unbeaten Notre Dame team 4 years. So served with the Marines in World War II. That's amazing. Wow. Swimming to shore, information 15 days before D-Day. That's amazing. Some of these guys, they had, you know, other jobs because football didn't pay as much, or, you know, the service time that a lot of these guys had. But yeah, 7 championships, 3 in college, 4 as a professional. So that's pretty cool. And then 52 smalls. So Robert Hornschmeyer was a good Lions player, not a Hall of Famer or anything, but you know, part of the history of winning championships back then. And then Leon was the number 1 pick in the draft. This is actually a really good copy. There's a little crease right there, but the picture is awesome. The centering is great. I think Cookie back here is like having dreams. You okay, Cooks? So, College Football Hall of Famer, but not a Pro Football Hall of Famer with Leon Hart. So those were my 52 large and smalls. 1951 pickups. I'm probably boring you to death with all this Lions information, but whatever. It's my stream. 51, Robert Hornschmeyer. We talked about him earlier. Some of these 51s, honestly, like, I don't really know. Like, I don't know hardly anything about Ollie Klein. Well, I should say nothing about Ollie Klein, except for, you know, he's probably a champion if he stayed on with the Lions, because this was 51 before the championship. Joe Watson, I did look him up because I was curious, because he was a high pick in the draft. And Lions number 1 draft choice. So he was a high pick in the draft, but only played 1 season. So I tried to find out stuff about Joe Watson, like what happened, was there business adventures or something like that? Because like I said, and he didn't die until later on in life. So, you know, some of these guys, they didn't get paid in the NFL. They didn't get paid much. So I wanted to look up anything on him, but I couldn't really find anything. John Prilicek, I don't really know about him as well. And then Jack Linninger. And Linninger was from Ohio State, and another one that was in the Army during the Second World War. It's crazy, right? So that is that. Some of these guys coming up, I have to remember what their picture was because I can't remember too much. But Sandifer, this is now 1950. Yeah, 1950. Sandifer, I think he has the second most interceptions in a season in his career. I think Crazy Legs Hirsch has the record at 14, and Sandifer has 13, and he did that his rookie season. So that's kind of a cool one there. This guy, I could talk about this guy for a long time. This is Doak Walker. Now they named the award after him for best running back in college. College Football Hall of Famer, Pro Football Hall of Famer, one of the most integral parts of the Lions in the 50s with their championships. So there's Doak. Didn't have the 1950 Doak. Some of the Dokes I have are a little bit later, just because he's so high priced, in some of those things. So, don't know anything about Paul Seringhaus. This is now 1948. Bowman, you can see the creases around the top, but I didn't have this card. So, wanted to make sure I got a chance to get that. Fred Inke. Inke played for multiple teams. He was a quarterback in the early 50s and late 40s, but wasn't. I imagine that Bobby Lane ended up beating him out at some point, and that's why we don't really hear a lot about him. This guy is big for Lions people. This is Bob Mann, not a Hall of Famer, but broke the color barrier for the Detroit Lions in 1948. And so that was big. And then a few years later, he ends up playing for the Packers and broke the Packers color barrier as well. And I think he's in the Packers Hall of Fame. But, still a very integral part of the history of the Detroit Lions. So that's Bob Mann. And then last one is Bullet Bill Dudley. I have an autographed helmet of Bullet Bill, just like a couple of these guys I do. But Bullet Bill Dudley is a Hall of Famer. PB on the back. Maybe that was somebody's initials. But, so Bullet Bill and Doak were very integral parts of the late 40s and early 50s of football. And I believe that is Bullet Bill's, I would imagine that's Bullet Bill's rookie card. So that's pretty cool. So about 18 minutes of being boring for everybody that's not Detroit Lions fans. But hopefully you had, fun looking at some of the older cards, and maybe it'll even, get you to might venture off into collecting some of the history and vintage of your favorite football teams. So hope you enjoyed this one, and I'm not sure when the next auction is going to be, just because we're back to coaching football now, so we can't really do Friday nights anymore, so I might have to push it to Saturday or Sunday. So until next time, love you all, stay safe, and take care, everyone.